Hi everyone, it's JD again, here to do another unboxing, this time of a very special quadcopter. This is the JJRC H26D. Now this is a beauty. So it's going to take a little bit of time to go through everything. This quadcopter is an assemble quadcopter, so we're going to have to go through everything and put the propellers on to the skids, the camera, the lot. Okay, so let's get started. Right. Okay, so this is quite a sizable copter, as you can see. If I was to just put my hand there just for some sort of reference, this is quite a large copter. So if I can just take everything out for a second, then I'll move everything out of the way, all the bits that we're going to need straight from the off. Okay, so let's move this. So, right. So it's a bit of a different format. Usually we'd go through everything that is in the box and the quadcopter, and then we would go from there. But this time, because we've got to assemble everything, I'll go through exactly what's in the box afterwards, once it's assembled, and you can see the accessory pack and everything else. Alright then guys, so, actually, oh, there we are. Okay, so we are just about ready. Right, in with this kit as well, you do get quite a nice little Phillips screwdriver, which will help with screwing everything in. There are 3 screw packs. There is one for the propellers, there's one for the camera and for the gimbal attached, and there is also one for the undercarriages, or for the propeller guards. Okay, so let's have a quick little look at this copter. So, very good build quality. All the joins marry up well. There doesn't seem to be any excess moulding left over. You can see underneath you have 3 ports, 1 red 2-pin, 1 white 2-pin and 1 white 3-pin. This is for your gimbal and your camera, and then you've got the standard quadcopter on-off switch at the bottom. There are also 4 ports. I don't know if you can see that there, it is quite small. There are 4 ports, 1 on each of these arms, and what they do is when you plug in the propeller guards, it's actually got LEDs on the underside, and they'll plug directly in as well, so they'll show up. You can fly it in the night then. Okay, so let's get cracking. Oh, one more thing actually before we start. A little bit anxious here at the start. There is the battery, which is built into the top of this case. It is a screw hatch. It's got quite a thread, so once you open it up, don't forget to catch the screw, you will have a 7.4 volts 1200 milliamp hour battery with 2 connectors. The black connector is to connect to the quadcopter. You'll see the other black connector here, and then the white connector is to charge the battery. The battery is standard USB charging, as with most, if not nearly all, quadcopters that I've seen. It'll take 125 minutes to charge. That is from completely dead on 0 right the way up to 100%. And with that 125 minutes charge, you'll get between 7 and 8 minutes flight time. Okay, if you obviously unplug the LEDs, you know, LEDs don't use a lot of electricity, but you might be able to squeeze that 7 to 8 minutes a little bit further. Okay, so let's pop this all back in for the time being. I'm not going to fly this today, this is purely an instructional video. We'll do the test flight and get everything else done, hopefully on the weekend if the weather stays as nice as it is now. And we'll go out early Saturday morning and we shall fly for a little while. Right, so let's screw this back in. Right, that's done. Okay, that's all nice and secure. Okay, so just by flipping over this quad, we're going to start with the camera. Little twiddly bits first. We'll do the camera, then we'll do the skids. Okay, so let's have a quick little look at this camera. So this camera is your standard 2 megapixel camera. It has a case, a cover on the front, so don't forget before you fly just to remove the case, the cover, sorry. Otherwise anything you do record you're not going to see. There's a micro SD card slot in the back. Be very careful, especially if you move this with the motor off. I wouldn't recommend it. I would rather plug it in and then move it down before you plug in any SD cards. I'm just moving this here very gently just to show you that inside there is a little USB card slot. Unfortunately, no SD card came with this quadcopter, but to be honest with you, I think that in itself is fine. I've got a couple lying around, and it's going to be fine for the test flight and subsequent flights. Okay, so the gimbal does move left and right and up and down. This is, again, we'll see this once we take her out for a test flight. Okay, so let's attach this gimbal. Now the first thing to look at is there a little red plug, little white plug, and then a big white plug. So the little red plug, as that has got the shortest cable, then from there we have a little clip on the underside and a little clip on the quadcopter. We shall just clip that in. Then we have enough leeway then just to clip in the other two cables. Okay, we're almost done with this. A little bit fiddly, plus I do have quite fat fingers, so it might be a little bit easier for you when you come to do it. Okay, so there we are, we're in. So we've got 3 plugs in. Now you'll notice it's a little bit wobbly. There are 2 screw holes here, one here. There we are, lovely. Right, so now we can carry on. So we've got the camera and gimbal affixed. Let's carry on with the skids. Okay, these skids don't require any screwing in at all. They have got little notches cut out of the top. I don't know if you can see there. It's going to be probably there. There you are. So you've got a little notch out of the top of that one and a little notch out of the top of that one. There are 2 white holes, one here and then one here. Inside there's going to be another notch which fits with this one. So if you are to just pop this in, and you're not going to hurt anything, you can just screw it in. Okay, so you'll notice now that we've got both the skids attached, and you push them until they are really solid, and they are. I've got to be honest, they are really solid. Right, so there we go. So we've got the bare bones of our quadcopter put together. Just to recap, we've got our quadcopter with battery not plugged in. We've got the 2 skids, both fixed. They just push in, they don't screw in. We've got our camera and our gimbal attached with the 2 screws at the back here and the little clip at the front with the 3 cables plugged into the correct ports. Okay, so next bit is to flip it over, and we're going to add 1 gear for 1 propeller. So the gears themselves, what you have to do is just pop the gear into the underside, prop shaft first. There we go, that's fitted. Now keep your finger on it, turn it round, and then with the little hole which is on the side of the, I don't know if you can just make out a little black mark there, that's one of the holes in the props, and then that aligns with the hole on the propeller there. So once you fit it, marry up the 2 holes. If you want to move the gears about just to get the holes to line up, don't turn it, otherwise you're going to damage the motor inside. You're going to have to let the prop down a bit until the gear hangs out, and then you can swivel it around till you find and marry up the holes there. If you just turn it, I'm afraid you may break the motor. So then with one of these ridiculously small screws, then we're just going to affix the propeller to the prop, and that should take a couple of moments. I'm just going to swivel this around so it's easier from my angle, I should imagine. Yeah, you can still see that. Okay, so there we go. So screw it in quite tightly. It probably isn't going to sit, oh, it sits pretty flush, to be honest. Okay, that's good, and it doesn't hasn't protruded the other side either, so we've got one screw fixed in and there's no whiting of the plastic, so that looks to be a success. Okay, so going from there, I'm now going to attach these other 3 propellers. I'll probably put a little bit in the video which will allow you to skip this bit if you get the hang of it. Obviously you don't need to see all 4. I'll do all 4 just for completeness. So let's turn this back around, just turning it around so I can see a little bit easier here, and then with the magnetized end of the screwdriver, just going to affix this second propeller. A little bit of pressure, not too much, even though this quadcopter does look sturdy and is sturdy by all accounts. It's still plastic. Plastic does bend, will snap, so then be very careful. Once you've done that one, turn the quadcopter over as I have just done, and then we can affix. There we go. So just gonna find. There we go. It's actually once you get a hang of it, it's actually pretty easy just to do. Okay, so we're gonna screw this in now. Once again, a little bit of pressure, not too much. Maybe, oh, this screw doesn't look as if it's going all the way through, so I'm not going to force it. It is in, it is holding very well. I'll check that just before the flight, just to make sure that everything is still affixed correctly. And then we've got the last propeller to go on there. So this quadcopter also comes with 2 spare propellers. Not for you to think I've missed out on attaching 2 somewhere. Okay, so likewise with this one. Oh, I don't think I'm not there. Oh, I'm ever so slightly out. There we go. It is worth, after every flight, checking these screws, because quite literally there is nothing, if you do lose a screw mid-flight, there is nothing stopping that propeller to come off, and ooh, that's what you want to avoid, and then the quadcopter just falling or spiralling out of control. Okay, so there we have it. We have 4 propellers all screwed on, and it's starting to look a little bit more like a quadcopter now. So let's flip her around there. Now this next bit, and one of the final accessory bits, is to affix the propeller guards. Now propeller guards, as I said in the beginning, they have a little wire with LEDs that run up here in a strip. Would be probably pretty pointless during the day, on a sunny day at least, but might be better if you are going to fly it when it's dusk. I wouldn't recommend you fly anything in the night, just because you can't see where it's going. Okay, so if I can just point this to the camera to show you. So we're going to plug this in first, then I will screw in the 2 screws here on the bottom. There we go. Make sure that the wire goes along. There we are. Doesn't. There we are. So you don't. Make sure you don't trap the wire or anything, otherwise you're going to break the LEDs. Okay, so once that is in, now I'm holding this up here just because with the skids on and everything, it makes it a little bit more difficult to screw everything in, but obviously didn't want to damage the camera, so that's why I did everything in this particular order. I suppose if you wanted to, you could even, now that we've got these resting on the propellers ever so slightly, there's a little foam piece to the propeller, so for the second it's just sitting like so. You could even take off the skids if you wanted to, just to affix these. What I will do, I'll leave them on. Okay, so now we've done that one. we'll go ahead and we'll do this one, and then we'll do all 4, and then once all 4 have been done from the bottom side, we'll turn it round and we'll do all the screws from the top side. So the screws from the top side, there are 2 per arm. I don't know if you noticed earlier. So just minding the wire. Okay, there we go. And because we had a bit of a screw mix up earlier, just to say these screws are the screws from the pack labelled for the undercarriage. Okay. Hopefully when you get yours, it won't be, the screws will be in the correct packaging. Okay, so let's just do this now. Right, that's number 2 done, plugged in, all screwed in, nice, not too tight, just tight enough. You can always go back around once you've done everything and you've built it correctly. You can always go back around and just make sure everything is tightened. So now we're going to do rudder, sorry, we're going to do these, not rudder at all, the prop guards. That's what I was thinking rudder for. So, okay. There we go, that's plugged in. Again, being careful to mind the wire. You'll notice once you fix the propeller guards to the back, you will notice that it fits in really snugly even before you start to screw any screws in. So that would be your giveaway as to whether or not you've done it correctly. Okay, there we go, that one's in, and now this one is in as well. There we go. And now we've just got, oh no, that's the wrong screw. Here we go again. Let's try that one. This is a magnetized screwdriver you get with it, and that really does help. Oh, there we go, look, that's screwed in, so must have had the wrong screw before. There we go, lovely. Right, so now that is done, that's all secure, those are the 2 are secure. Now for the final one, so not forgetting to plug them in. Again, there is only one way these plugs can go in, it is marked on them, so you will see when you come to line them up. Let me just reach over there and grab some of these undercarriage screws. Right, okay, so now we have these 2, 1, again careful to mind the wire, and then screw it in until it's tight. Don't over tighten, you might break the plastic. Okay, and again with this one. Okay, so we have 4 undersides screwed in. For the prop guard, they're all plugged in as well. So now, making sure that everything is okay on the underside, let's flip her over. And now, I'm just going to go through first, clip these in before I screw them in, just so that there's no unnecessary wobbling from the guards. Now you'll notice on some of my other videos I don't use propeller guards for a lot of my quadcopters, for the smaller ones especially. I won't put them in, just because I'm aware of my surroundings, and there are a lot of trees around by me, and I don't want if a drone does get stuck in there, I don't want it to be very difficult to get out, and obviously I don't want to damage the tree. But with this particular quadcopter, and with some of the other large ones like the Phantoms and some of the larger Hubsons as well, these propeller guards are a must. Now luckily on every one of these prop arms there's a little logo to show you which way the propellers are going to spin, which is very handy. I would recommend, because this is probably going to be able to do some damage when it spins, I would recommend that before you walk over to it, when you go to once you've been flying it, you want to make sure that it's, say you want to go and pick it back up, you want to make sure that the transmitter is turned off, the quadcopter has stopped, and all blades have stopped spinning. It's not a good idea to walk towards it when everything is spinning, because you're going to do yourself, other people around you, and this quadcopter some harm. So we're almost done. 2 more screws, and then we have a fully built JJRC H26D. Okay. Right, so thank you and congratulations to everyone that managed to stay with us and didn't skip this part. Okay, so let's just screw that back in there. Okay, that's all in. Right, so we have 4 propeller guards. Let's just turn it around so you can see everything. So we've got 4 propeller guards all screwed in. All the cables are all plugged in, so we're going to have nice strip LEDs underneath the propeller guards. The propellers are all screwed in to the gears and the props. The gears and the props are all sitting nicely within the motor. You can tell that because I don't recommend you do this a lot, but I will do it just to show you. These motors will click once you have them all connected up correctly, so that's how you know that everything is connected. But as I say, I wouldn't recommend you do that. You're going to break the engine, the motors, and therefore you're going to break the quadcopter. Okay, so to recap, we have gimbal with camera attached, we have both of the landing gears attached, we have propellers 4, and we have the propeller guards. Okay, so there we go. These 2 propellers, as I said earlier, these are spares, so they will go back in the box. If I just move the lovely copter over for a minute and just clear up this little desk here, then we'll have a little look at the transmitter and see what its similarities and differences are to other ones. Okay, let's just clear this up there. Okay, first of all, the accessory pack you get 1 screwdriver, you get your USB charger for this monster battery inside here. As I said, the battery will take 125 minutes to charge, so you better make sure you don't forget to put it on before you go out. Okay, and the transmitter is quite a beast. This isn't an FPV copter, although it does allow recording of video and taking of photos using the shoulder buttons here. Forward for taking a photo, and back and hold to take a video. So as you can see, now this quadcopter does say it doesn't come with a hover mechanism, although this button here in the instruction manual does say that it will remain at a certain height. We'll see exactly what that means when we're out, when we're testing it, and we can see exactly if there is a hover mode, if there's not. Judging by this particular stick, I would say there's not, but then of course there is the question as to what is this button all about. So then we have your standard forward, back, left and right. On this stick, auto center, no auto center on the thrust, on the accelerator and the throttle. Again, nice movement in being able to turn around the quadcopter. On and off button, quite sturdy, a little bit more sturdy than on the SEMA X5C1. These buttons here, so just move that out of the way, these buttons here would normally be your trim buttons. Well, they're not on this copter. These are your trim buttons for front and back, left and right. These buttons are for your camera gimbal, so you can move the camera gimbal left and right, up and down, as we'll see when we're doing the video. Oh, when we're doing the test flight, sorry. Okay, then you've got your telemetry screen at the bottom here. Here you'll have a picture of the quadcopter like you have in so many other quadcopter telemetry screens. You'll also have thrust level and left and right, so it'll show you exactly how much pressure you're using when you're using your quadcopter, when you're flying her around. Okay, so batteries. Once again, this transmitter, like so many others before it, They're not rechargeable batteries. This transmitter itself does not have any way of being connected up to a charger, so the batteries you use either have to be rechargeable batteries. There are 4 AA's or just standard batteries. Can I ask that they're all recycled properly once used? Not to harp on, but it's very important. Okay, so there we go. That is your transmitter with a screwdriver. This is your JJRC H26D quadcopter, all fully assembled. So then guys, thank you very much for watching. Now the next video will be the flight test of this particular quadcopter. So I'll see you all there. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for giving up your time. Please comment and I'll answer your comments to the best of my ability. If you really like what I'm doing, please subscribe. That will just make sure that I can carry on doing what I'm doing. Okay, thank you very much everyone. Take care. Bye bye.